Yo, yo, yo. How is everyone doing? It has been a long time. I don't actually know how long it has been. I think before the CSM election was the last time. So maybe I should disable the sounds, but hey, that's what happens if you don't do it all too often anymore. You get rusty. You forget these little things. Um, yeah, I wish I would do more podcasts more frequently. Um, but sometimes it's hard to get it together. All right, and this one wasn't, an exception. This one was actually pretty hard to get together, and then last second, I got Mr. CCP. He has still his old car. I mean, people know who it is. Yeah, but yeah, Bjorn jumped in like a hero and filled in that spot that was left open. I'm not gonna say who it was. Actually, I did say it probably already, but yeah. It happens, sometimes stuff gets in the way. But we got Bjorn. And
thanks for inviting me on as a second place. I'm glad to be here.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
Wow. Unbelievable. But yeah, usually I give people a bit of an intro, right? For those who don't know, true legend of the game, probably biggest Eve streamer ever, I think still. If Bjorn, if you want to come back right now, do it. Shit's gonna go crazy. But yeah, not too long ago he got hired by CCP. Just for those two people, maybe, that might not be aware. All right.
About a year ago, yeah.
And then actually, second guest, Amelia Duskspace. Probably one of the best pilots I know, It's hard to measure, right? I always think, like, what does best pilot in a game mean? It's like you can't point a finger at anyone anyway. But like just piloting skill wise, he's in a group that that does it the best. So at least he's not trash like me. All right.
I don't know, dude. I've been doing too much mid-scale stuff. I'm probably trash again.
Yeah, we talked about that for a second while the cooldown was gone. He's doing timers and stuff, guys. I don't know what's happening. We'll talk about it in a minute. But yeah, but over the last, I'd say year, two maybe, last 2 years, you got a little bit more vocal, like on Reddit, made posts and stuff, like probably the post about Ansiblex is probably most well known. And then you got yourself elected to the CSM, right? And yeah, that's my first question. Where the fuck did you steal my CSM seat, right? Like
right on the spot. All right, I see how it is. Here we go.
Why did you do it, dude?
Why?
Do you know what? It was all part of my plan from the very start. I'm like, how can I fuck Pando over? I tried to get exactly the people I need to take his spots, 100%. No, actually, I didn't even think I was gonna get onto it. I remember waking up and I forgot what day the FanFest elections were happening on, or announcement, and so I didn't even know until I woke up and it was already.
See, guys,
over
he doesn't even care. Why did you elect
DMs.
him? What the fuck? Dude, I was super surprised too. I knew you would get like a good amount of votes, but I didn't think you would get like that many votes, like that solid, elected.
Yeah, I was definitely really lucky. Was glad to see people are looking for maybe something a little bit new, a little bit different from what the normal CSM kind of is. iBox was kind of on last year. I feel like we had kind of similar platforms with the expertise that we have and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you made it on, even though it didn't sound like it at first. Like, I mean, it's not a secret. Like, the way Shines and I ran, we knew it was a risk for me to get on. But I'm okay with it. All right. So for anyone who feels bad, it's fine. Okay.
I remember pinging you right after I heard it. I'm like, dude, it should have been you. Like, fuck.
A lot of people, that's the dumbest thing about this whole thing. A lot of people instantly sent me a message. Oh man, I thought you would get in. One of them being Gobbins, right? Like doing the whole narrative about oh yeah, the CSM guys, they're all pushing to get NPC space and drone lines, which, whatever. If you want to believe it, sure. But you know, and then he sends me a message. I thought you were gonna get on, right? Like, oh, dude, I told you, right? But then there was also some people that said congrats to the CSM. It's like five people at least congratulated me to get elected to the CSM. I was like, dude, like, I don't know, like, oh my god, right? They were so convinced. Even when you tell them you didn't get elected, they would say like, no, congrats, dude. I'm happy for you, right? That's how sure people would be. But, you know, it is what it is. My theory was you stole my seat just so you can get to Iceland for the summit and I meet up with Bjorn. You know?
True.
Come and hang out. Yeah.
Yeah, a candlelight dinner. And there's
I
always
mean,
that
I
one
heard he
season.
didn't hang out with you, so maybe he'd hang out with me.
Yeah, he voted me on the CSM summit. How can I say, huh? Yeah.
I was sick, but okay. I could have given you the flu if you wanted. I can definitely hook you up with that.
Oh, yeah, I'm joking, of course. Yeah. But yeah, the summit, I can tell you, it's pretty fun. It really, like, I really enjoyed it. But man, is it a lot of meetings in a row, right? So I think maybe that's one improvement. Write it down there. One improvement would be to not have the player presentations at the very end. Because
have them earlier so you can discuss those points more.
Also, that was the moment when everyone was already a little bit exhausted and most CSM were dipping out of these, right? Because everyone had the mindset of like, yeah, I know what he's going to be talking about. Like, obviously we talk about shit internally all the time. But
I think it's probably down to balancing the times of how much time there is. Like, it was a lot of meetings every day, like full days of meetings. And then which day do you just allow for that one? Like, there's so many things they want to try and get across in those. Like, it's a hard thing to balance on all the teams that are coming to talk to you guys as well.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's yeah. I don't know.
It's just need a second summit.
I mean, there used to be a second summit, and now it's 12 people, right? Yeah. So that's one of my worries. I've been talking about this. The CSM, like 10 people always felt like a lot in a meeting. Like, if it's an informative meeting, sure, whatever, it could be 20. But if you want any kind of discussion, 10 is just too much. 12 is going to be even more. So yeah, it's it's going to be interesting. But yeah, it's a good time. It's a good time. Yeah. So I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Even if Bjorn's going to be sick again.
Hopefully try my best not to be.
Yeah. you go into isolation like 2 weeks before just to make sure.
It was actually really cool seeing it. It was my first time seeing the CSM. I guess it was your first time seeing it as well. That summit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was my first time experiencing it, and from like the inside as well. It was pretty cool to see the way, like, it was very organized. Swift and the team did like great on getting all those meetings all lined up. But then also just the amount of stuff you managed to get done in 1 week. You guys were all exhausted at the end, but it was cool.
Yeah,
I think Amelia's gonna like it.
Yeah, I think the summit, the value of it can't be overstated. Like, because like for those who don't know, like, you have to talk to people. Like, just meetings is not enough, right? You have to talk to people within CCP to get their attention onto certain stuff, and like get certain things changed, like make sure they understand how important certain things are, whatever, right? Whatever it is. But you like, at the beginning, you don't know who to talk to. You don't know when to talk to too. Like, I don't want to spam like DMs or channels or whatever. Like, I've been very careful to not like flood people with like, do you need to do this? Anti-Blaxes need to be nerfed now, right? And then like, let's boycott the CSM strikes, you know, this kind of shit. Like, no, you gotta be careful. Like, you gotta, you know, ease into this and understand, like, you know, they're doing stuff. So, you know, the summit though, that's where they see, those are actual people like us, right? Oh yeah, these are the guys. Oh, this guy was super insightful on this. Let me come with this. So it goes the other way then, right? So now CCP will reach out, like, poke you for some info and stuff. I think it's so important to build trust and a relationship. So yeah.
Yeah, I think there's something about that mostly as well, to build rapport between the people that are coming and the CCPers. So it's not, like you say, just a name on a Slack channel. It's a real human whose eyes you have looked into and talked to and heard their points and counterpoints and seen how they work together in a room over a whole week. And then I think everyone's far more, comfortable working together after that.
Yep, 100%. And also for the CSM, just internally, just the CSM really connected there too. You could just tell it was good vibes. I don't know if it's every time.
For sure.
I know it's not every time. All right, everyone knows. Like sometimes that group just doesn't vibe. Our group did vibe. So, and it was good times. Everyone, was working together. So that was very important there too. And I mean, also, it's a commitment. Not only like CCP is saying like, hey, we're taking this serious, we're flying you guys out, but then also, we're showing up. We're taking it serious too. So it's like, it's a overall really good. But yeah.
Speaking of CSM, I want to ask Amelia a question actually. Has anything changed since you got onto the CSM? Have people started like DMing you or messaging you about things that are like, hey, Mr. CSM representative, when are you gonna fix this?
Yeah, I've actually had a few. Someone was talking about like the new player experience to me. I did a call with someone about the force projection of I always forget the name. Oh my god,
Zarzak?
I can't pronounce it.
Starzak.
Zarzak, yeah.
Zaza. Zing Zang.
It seems to be a very polarizing issue, even more than jump gates, which is interesting. But yeah, it's been cool. I think the biggest thing that happened to me is that for some reason the CSM accounts are under more scrutiny, and for some reason my hardware ID changed or something on my PC. So one of my accounts got banned when I logged in because of that. So that's a fun introduction to the CSM.
Yeah.
CCP got it all fixed out, but yeah, it was fun.
Getting banned out of nowhere for no reason, it doesn't feel good. I know. Yeah. So when are you gonna get
in the middle of a fight or anything?
When are you gonna get Ansiplex's nerf then? Next week, yeah?
Yeah, next week for sure. You'll see you guys coming in patch notes. Bjorn's taking care of that. He's writing it, I think, right?
But yeah, I saw a Reddit post actually about Zarzak, blaming the CSM for this. Or I say for this, most people are like, what even is the problem, right? But dude, Zarzak was such a headache. That was maybe the worst thing that I experienced on the CSM. The whole thing, the whole package of Zarzak was just a mess from the beginning, from the CSM perspective, because we didn't have much insight early on, I think, and it was just like super late where we felt like now we could get some input. It was just, so anyone who blames the CSM, sure, like, what am I gonna say? But I didn't feel like we had much influence on the whole thing, so that was frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. It was one thing that could have been handled better.
I think that's the biggest feedback I've had from you over the year. Like, you wish you had heard things a little earlier than what you sometimes do. And it's something I'll definitely patch to the right people, that they maybe touch base with the CSM a little earlier about things before they're kind of too far down the design path.
Yeah, I mean it's always the concern, right? But then there are certain things.
Some things, of course, they don't want to consult with on everything, which they can't, obviously.
I get it.
But yeah, I do feel your pain though when you're like, oh, this is a little late to get into, like, what kind of feedback can I give with this time frame,
Yeah.
But you guys do your best.
Yeah. And sometimes you give feedback but you're like, in Zarzak's case, I remember saying I want bubbles and bombs in Zarzak, but that's in a certain frame. Like, I don't know what the shipcast is gonna look like. What's that grid gonna look like? What's the station gonna look like? Is there gonna be scan? All these details were not there at that time, right? So it's hard to give feedback for something you don't really.
But you're only giving feedback so that you don't increase the projection, which you already think is too much with the jump bridges. So you're like, well, because of this and this has to be in place. But then like you say, there's all these other aspects to it,
yeah,
like
and
the
see,
ship caster.
yeah, and the Ansiblex is that whole issue. It's so connected too, because that's what I had in mind when I said like, so if there's bombs and bubbles, and then Ansiblexes weren't as powerful. Now the traffic is so high, if you like, but it's very specific areas too, right? So in that case, my point was like, if there's a ton of people using this all day and you can bomb and bubble, dude, like, yeah, I'll be living there, dude, right? It's like, it's a risk for them to move through there. But then I also said, like, this is not going to be, like, what is it intended for, right? But, you know, it is what it is. I felt like that was the one thing I didn't feel like we were listened to, but.
Yeah, it's something I was talking about with the current CSM about like, we tend to, or at least I do, and I think you do might as well a little bit, Pando, put all force projection under just the Ansiblex umbrella. When realistically, it's like, it's a bunch of different variables, right? It's like the warp speed changes that happened a few years ago. It's Titan bridges, it's Ansiblex, it's Zarzak, it's wormholes, it's filaments, it's whatever it might be, right? But there's like a lot more things that have been introduced in the game in the last, I don't know, X years that have increased the ability for people to just go farther out from a centralized location.
Yeah, in general, any issue, really, whenever you talk about anything in EVE, it's the most complex game ever, basically, right? It's never black and white. So whenever people make an argument and say, like, oh, remove this or just add this, like, no, just anything, it'll never work. You always need to think of it like a concept, right? What's the force, the projection concept? Like, what do you want in general, right? And then you need to change like probably 3 different things to get the right results. It's never just one thing. Same for Ansiblexes, right? Just touching Ansiblexes, probably not the right way to do it. Like, there could be so much, there's so much more potential if, like, if you see the whole picture, I think. But, it's complicated.
It's actually one of the things that I like. I've talked to the Shines about Ansiblexes and seeing how he feels about them in general. Obviously, we use them heavily up in Fountain. But his opinion is like, if they get touched, we also have to look at the force projection through filaments, wormholes specifically. And I realize now that I use wormholes way more now than I use Ansiblexes. Like, if I want to get to Jita, to Fountain, I just look for I'm like, just is the highway up, right?
Yeah.
But it's super strong.
But at the same time, and maybe I shouldn't say this publicly, it would be so easy to fuck with. Like, if I wanted to shut down, as a single player, I wanted to shut down the whole metro that Init is using, right? I could do that.
Yeah. And I guess you can't push like big battleship fleets through them and all that stuff too.
Exactly. It's a
all
limit.
that reliability, but
I think that's the balancing aspect of it. Like, there needs to be both counterplay as well as some restrictions on a mass level. Like, I think that's what I like about wormholes in that way, is like, you can't bring down this battleship fleet, which is what like the meta's slowly pushing to, it feels like, and stuff like that.
Have you been going to no Panda Bjorn?
Bjorn is right.
Bjorn is right. Have you been using Zarzak at all, Amelia?
Not too much. We've been getting mostly blobbed through it and people around in the southeast. It's been interesting. I think it's gonna keep happening, but stuff was happening with like Snuff moved down to the southeast recently, and they had like, I don't know, 300 frat or something come through the Zarzak gate and stuff like that. And I think once more groups realize how close they are, actually, like I think P Horde is something like a Titan bridge and a jump gate or something away, like 10 jumps or something away from the gate. You can realize, just how quickly these groups can get to other areas. But we haven't been using it too much ourselves. We've been mostly focusing just on our kind of region, so we haven't been looking to project too much right now. We've been getting some good fights in the southeast right now.
Yeah, I bet. One of the most fun I had the last like 5+ years was flying with you guys in the Outer Passage and that whole shenanigans during COVID times. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I still want to hear about the Stormbringers that I hear the Init's been doing that you went over there for, dude.
I managed to talk Shines into Stormbringers quite heavily, but like on a much different scale than what we were using them as with our Tidebringer fleet. Like that was such a cool concept. I didn't realize that we could use them on the smaller scale that you made them work as. I always saw them as like this gigantic, bring like 180 of them, right? And that's actually what Shines has been doing. It's insanely disgusting when you see, but it's so hard to replace at the same time. So it's this balancing act of us having to go into Pochven, run a World Arc, get the LP, get the shit needed to build them, put another 80 in the fucking oven, and then 50 get whelped. You're like, fuck, you need to go run another World Arc, right? It's actually quite a lot of fun though.
Are they pretty effective on the super large scale?
I think so.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice.
They're
Yeah.
kind of crazy.
I love the introduction of these methods that kind of dissuade anchoring a little bit, or make you have to like think about it a little bit more. You know what I mean? Splitting your fleet, or orbiting instead of approaching, or doing like fleet formations or something like that. I really like those kind of methods that can introduce that.
Yeah, just generally, I think making use of the 3D space, right, is always like a cool thing. I mean, that was originally my pitch for the Lancers too, right? I thought it's gonna be more of like a Lancer with more damage that also, can hit some subs. It became a different thing later on. It is what it is. But similar, right? Like, yeah, mix it up a bit, Put that element of surprise in there, a bit of a skill shot. That would have been, or that I still think, there should be more of that stuff in the game.
I was still so sad with the World War B2 thing with the bosons, dude, about the server ticks. Like when Goon set that up, I was like, damn, that is so fucking dope. Like that was amazing. And it's like I want to see more stuff like that happen. Because like when those things line up perfectly, whether it's like a pipe bomb or a bomb run or whatever, like those things are just so hype. I don't know. I love those things.
Yeah, maybe one day when everyone gets complacent and forgot all about it, like in 10 years, someone's gonna be like, nobody knows. Everyone forgot about this, but we can't do this now. Yeah, it was a shame, but hey, what you gonna do? So we were talking about the CSM. What do you think? Like, how much influence you got? So, in terms of like, what do you think you can get done on the CSM? Like, do you have a little goal? Like one thing you wanna achieve for sure?
I'm not coming in with the perspective of that. I think I'm just gonna try and, voice my opinion and concerns and try and give the most accurate information possible to the CCP. I think it's kind of hard to go in there with a goal because it's not like we have any realistic power, right? Like our entire role is an advisory point of view. So I'm trying to coming in with that perspective, but at the same time, like there's obviously things that I'm going to try and push for and stuff like that. And there's a long, long list, I think, of things that I think CCP can do better on. But it's also about not just that, it's about kind of reinforcing the good decisions that I think they've done and like really let them know the things that have been going really well so that, they can use that as kind of a model going forward. Because I think that's really important, is not just saying, okay, you have all this shit that you still guys got to do. It's about saying, okay, this was good, use this as a model in the future. And I like to look at like Pochven, for example. I talk about risk reward a lot within the game. I think it's what really drives Eve. And I think Pochven is a really good example of that. Like, sure, there's still issues there with like, people just ratting in Ishtars and running away at the soonest fight where you don't have to actually risk anything. But I think there's ways that kind of model can be improved and really taken to an extreme in other areas of space, whether that be low sec or null sec or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and I think there were some lessons that were learned in Parchment. The whole like limited fleet size. What do you even call it? The
payout structure.
Yeah, the payout structure, exactly. It was applied in other places too, I guess, right? So they certainly recognized, oh yeah, this works, right? And then it's interesting that you mentioned Portrait, because there was one thing I thought about making like one last post when I go out, when I leave the CSM, was like a bit of a Portrait package, right? Like, so, for example, for those who are not aware, everyone who's dominating in this, like 2-3 groups, they're dominating these observative flashpoints. They have endless intel, right? They have a char in every system, so instantly when the new site spawns, they know where it is. They're already on the way. Pow pow. Like, it's hard, very hard to compete with if you're just like, if you just want to be day tripping and stuff like this. So, the first thing I would say is like just have that intel of where the ops is, or even the world arc, just free for everyone to see in the agency. How you can see it instantly, and so it levels the playing field there, right? That would be one thing. And then like having a smaller sized site that is worth doing too, right? Like a 1-man, maybe a 5-man site. Be it doesn't have to be like a combat site. Could be what's it called? Exploration, like hacking and stuff like this. Like that one event. I forgot what it was called, but where everyone was doing it with noses, basically. But yeah, just some sites so you have like one man or like solo guys, and then small gangs doing some sites maybe. So you have like you diversify the size of the fleets in Parchment. I think it could be so much more active then. It would be incredibly active, and I think more people would be interested in it. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, it's absurd how much money people make there. Like we have one of 2 or 3 of the people in my corp that like basically live there and they just run Ishtars all day. They're like big multi-boxers, right? And I kind of hate them because they ruin a lot of the content with the Ishtars, I feel like. But it's like at the same time, they love to fight people and stuff like that. But I just wish that it was more committal. Like back in the day, I remember when I first got into Poshfen, there was these like 15-man heavy armor battleship fleets, right? It was like, Nestors, Paladins, and stuff like that. And you got these really, really cool fights that I had a lot of fun doing. And it feels like nowadays it's mostly just like chasing Ishtars off or getting bubbled on a gate, and then the Ishtars are already 400 kilometers off by the time you slide into the observatory flashpoint, and they're still killing the final structure, and they still get all the money. So I wish there was more of a way that you could balance it, so like you need to be within 20 kilometers or something of the structure, otherwise it reps a ridiculous amount or something like that, or it actually targets drones or stuff that you can actually force people to be more committal to be able to get the same reward.
Yeah, there was discussion about it, and like with a lot of people. And one of the thing I kept hearing was like, just put a smart bomb on a dread, right? You have to kill that faction dread, but then people would switch to sentries anyway and stuff, right? So it's like, I don't know. It's not always, it's not that easy to fix it without completely removing all drones, right, from that side. Which I don't know if that's the way to go.
Also, if you had a smart bomb, then suddenly you're negating missile comps, for example. If it's constantly pulsing a smart bomb or something like that, then suddenly missile comps wouldn't do it as well if they're getting killed by an AoE thing as well. And like it all comes down to how much development time is available to do things. Like right now, we had this thing with Podsren last Christmas where it was nerfed, where the timer was 90 minutes instead of the instant respawns. That's something that I, for example, did not like at all. We were then able to change that back to 35 minutes. And it still just made like a monopoly for the few people who kind of ran Podsren and made an insane amount of money there, right? Now it's finally back to being instant respawn. And the region's back to being like the second most destructive in the game, like month after month on the MER. So like right now, I do agree with what Amelia says, that there's lots of people who do just run this in Ishtars and run. But there's also so much fucking fighting happening there, and like so many up and coming multi-boxers who are trying to get to the same level, competing, like 762 guys, the Observatory Great Bear guys, the FRT dudes, I'm not sure how much Pandemic Horde is in there right now. We went in there quite a bit in the summer with Initiative, a few of us. Like it's still very competitive. But I think the bigger problem is that now, instead of chasing around everywhere in heavy armor, like you said, people kind of just sit in their own pocket and wait for the OBS to spawn close enough to quickly blitz it, right?
Yeah.
I think that's the bigger problem, that they can just kind of wait for it to come around to their neck of the woods and then they run it, which is how I was running it. I was running it in like 12 Proteuses because I thought, hey, if I can get there before the Ishtars, then I can just run it before they get there. But then, like, you get dudes who are doing this in, Marauders, who are just multi-boxing a bunch of Rail and Blaster Chronoses. And I like, when they get caught and killed, that's like 30 plus bill just dead in one fight, right?
Yeah.
But like, that doesn't happen with every OBS that gets run, obviously. So
I gotta be honest, I always thought my plan was always to like at some point grab like 100 dudes from Init and just like try to catch these guys with their pants off. But I never really went out to do it. I don't know why. Maybe I don't have a good excuse. Maybe I should still do it. Yeah, can't be
90% loot
that.
drop right now, dude. Now's the time.
You are actually, now that you say it, you know. I mean, if you're listening in, I'm not coming to
These guys
Podfin
do
with
not
100
run
dudes.
cheap things. They run some blingy
That
shit
is
in there,
true.
man.
Yeah, maybe it is the time to go now. That might actually be true. Yeah.
But I do agree that you're talking about you would love to see smaller type content in there as well. Like there are smaller sites, but they're just not nearly as lucrative. It's just getting enough people to run an OBS, right? Or having enough people to run the World Arc. That's also very lucrative, but it's way more like effort compared to running the OBS itself. But this summer we had the front, what they called, home front missions in HiSec. And like if something like that would come into that region, that would be super dope in my opinion.
That is true.
But then again, obviously development right now is, next expansion. So like right now focus isn't on Podfin. At the moment, Podfin is doing its own thing, churning along. The focus is, factional warfare and the pirate insurgencies.
Yeah, that's another one of those things, talking about CSM and influence and stuff. Sometimes, you can have the holy grail of an idea, like if the timing isn't right, like what are we gonna do? They're working on certain things, so have some influence on it, right? Have the best possible. I think you have the right mindset for it. But yeah, sometimes it's just like that's the next thing. So yeah.
Why Shane saying fuck the World Arc? What do you mean, dude? We were kicking its ass. What do you mean, Shane?
Yeah, it was good fun. What are you talking about? We should do it more often.
I've still never run one of those, but I love all the weird stuff that happens there, like the boost beacons or whatever, the stuff like that.
Well, we are happy. We're happy to invite you next time we run it.
Yeah, let me know.
Yep.
We got secret tech.
Yeah,
I'll show you.
You're gonna like it. Yeah. We had a group of guys, some emoji boxing quite heavily, that ran these.
We'll tell him off.
Let's move on. So Bjorn, Twitch drops. I'm just kidding, but still, I want to talk about Twitch drops though, because I think it's not a coincidence that Twitch guy, that B dude goes over to CCP, and then literally, like, how long have you been there? About a year.
I've been there a year. Yeah.
And after a year, we get Twitch drops, and before that, like for 10 years, people were always talking, "Oh, that would be awesome" and stuff. And suddenly,
not
like
10 years, but like since
it's been a while.
I wanted it when I saw it happen for like Tarkov and other games, seeing what happened to the category of those games when the Twitch drops arrived. I was like, damn, dude, like Eve is sleeping on this. It needs to happen. But you can't like just say Bjorn got there and then it happened. Like it was also things like lots of teams working together. What I've learned from CCP is that anything is lots of teams coming together. I could like mention a bunch of people who helped make this happen. But yeah, it's fantastic that they're here.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting it was all you. I don't want to take credit from the other guys. I know there's always like a ton of people involved, but at the same time, that's not a coincidence either, I think. and it's just nice to see. And I wonder, it's like from a streamer perspective, it's nice to always like look at the numbers a little bit, so you have a bit of a goal, right? And you're like trying to like grow numbers and all that stuff, but you do it for one channel, right? And now you're in a position where like every channel on the category, it's like that's your baby now. You know what I mean? So if there's like 20 channels there, you want them all to succeed, and the more they succeed, like you get like is that exactly how it feels? Yeah,
sure.
Yeah.
Looking at the whole category, not just my own channel growing, and also realizing what that means for and the other streamers who are big, they also realize that, hey, all these smaller streamers getting Twitch drops as well, like it helps them grow, which means there's more viewers in general. Like it's super nice to see how the community is also taking Twitch drops instead of being greedy and just trying to hold on to do you know what I mean?
I do, but every now and then I have someone in chat or I see a comment somewhere. It's on someone else's channel the other day saying like, "Oh, Twitch drop. I don't like this whole thing." And I'm like, "What's there not to like? Like, give me one
I
negative
think lots
aspect,
of
right?"
people they enjoy the intimacy of some smaller channels, and when they grow to having 80 plus viewers, that intimacy you had with a streamer when it was like 10, 20 people watching isn't there anymore, because the streamer suddenly has to talk like maybe that viewer just really likes being in smaller crowds. I think that actually has a lot to do with it.
Oh, really? I never thought of that. I would have always thought those guys that were there early on when there was only 20 viewers or 5 viewers or whatever, right? They
No,
would then
they're
be
there
so
because they
happy.
wanted that.
Yeah. Hmm.
That's not how it is. They feel like they're suddenly what they say in chat just gets lost now. The streamer forgets to read their stuff.
Hmm.
I saw that same thing with my own channel when I grew from having very few viewers to suddenly having, you know, too many to read sometimes. That people would feel kind of left out and like, "Ah, I kind of miss the old times when it was just a handful of people getting to just have fun." I think that definitely plays into it.
I guess that makes sense. But yeah, I think overall, like the whole Twitch drop thing, like a huge success. I know we were talking leading up to this, we were talking about it. We both knew it's going to be a success, but I didn't know it's going to be that big. I had no idea. I thought channels will get like maybe an extra 50% of viewers. You know what I mean? That's what I thought. Like, that would be solid. That's what I had in mind. But man, that it like exploded like this. Um, like, obviously the streamers, all those channels, they still have to then, perform or convince people to, hang out when there's no Twitch jobs going on or whatever. But they get that exposure. That's like super useful, I think. And I'm just super happy to see all the other channels too, to to see all these numbers go up. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. They're making a lot of more money as well. Guys are all making way more from ad revenue and all that stuff. So that's one of my biggest goals when I joined CCP is to make the partners actually be able to make more money just being content creators for the game, whether it's, the usual video or streaming, but also the third party developers. We've got some cool stuff coming that we hopefully will be able to have them also fill their pockets a bit more. Because I want people to care more about what they're doing by being a bigger part of their life in that manner. Because it was for me. Like I took streaming and the content very seriously because it was paying my rent and food and all that stuff, right? For like 7 years. I had to take it seriously. I had to make sure it was competitive to the other streamers and people out there. So when it becomes a bigger part of people's life, they start taking it more seriously and they become better at doing the content too. So now that we have more streamers, you yourself will have more competition with the other streamers. And how do you
That's all
then
right.
try to outshine them? And like it's great because then it breeds like a healthy competition.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I haven't looked at this much, but like, how does Eve compare in terms of Twitch viewership to its player base compared to a lot of other games? Like, I assume it's pretty low because Eve just doesn't seem that, I don't know, compared to a lot of other games, that's streamable of a game if you put it that way.
I would say not too long ago we had phases. Let's say like in the last 2 or 3 years maybe we had phases, especially when Bjorn stopped streaming, where there was time zones, there was just nothing going on, and then anyone who would check out Eve, that's how I always see it, right? That's obviously why CCP has a huge interest in having a shit ton of people on that category. It's like anyone who wants to check out Eve, a lot of people go to Twitch and have a look, like, oh yeah, who's playing Eve? And then there's like 3 dudes with 5 viewers each. It looks like a dead game then. It really does, right? And now I think you would have a hard time finding any time zone where there's like, no, at least one guy there, or, like one channel, 2 channels with 100 plus, and like a healthy base too, like with 50 viewers and stuff like that. So where it's like, yeah, there's like something going on, like people are interested in playing and streaming Eve, and it just makes the game like look way more healthy. And I think the last year we also, the game got more healthy too. It helps, right? If the game is in a better place. So
Yeah, for sure. It was really nice. I went to this summer. I went to Nottingham to do AT stuff, and we did a player meetup with like 60, 70 people showing up, just kind of somewhat impromptu. Like it was so good to hear people say like the last 9 months before they'd suddenly felt Eve go in a different and healthier direction, and by that time we had Uprising and Viridian expansions, and like that was behind us, and like it seems like we're still, you know, heading in a healthy direction, which makes like everyone somewhat hyped about what's coming in the future, which is not how we all felt some years ago.
Yeah, and Ragnar says in chat like 31k plus right now. It's slowly coming back up. So this is where also one of the frustrations sometimes. I don't want to say CSM necessarily, but like people say like, oh yeah, it's summer or it's winter, right? But the numbers went already up during summer. The numbers were already recovering during summer. That is what like I personally want to see. You know, the numbers will always go a little up after summer and go like towards the winter. But if it already starts recovering during summer, that is really good. And then now winter's coming in, so that should be even better then. So hopefully we go back to like 40k. That'll be awesome, huh? But yeah, we'll have to see. And then yeah, Amelia asked like, how does it compare to other games? Honestly, I haven't checked other games, but I would say
Ratio-wise, I'm not sure how to, because I mean, if we have the Eve category with 5,000 viewers at some point, which it has been, not like the last few like days and weeks, sometimes you'll see the entire category 5k viewers more compared to how many people are online. I think that's a pretty big ratio on people who are watching a stream versus people who are logged in character-wise. So but I don't know what that compares like. I haven't actually looked into that stuff. But you were talking about your expectations for Twitch drops and how much you would see your channel and other channels grow. And like we did a lot of background work studying like different games and their categories in general. Like how did it change before? How many active channels? How many peak streaming channels? All this stuff. We did so much background work to try and have a like a data case to go, hey, we need to put effort on this. This is important. You know, we need Twitch drops here. It's been kind of dragging our feet for a long time here. Let's get this one done. Trust us, right? So it's really good that it has actually done this, where it's blown us all out of the water when it comes to how successful it's been so far. I'm real glad it didn't, flop, because I would have been would have looked like a doofus.
I would have been sad.
Uh,
So like when you did like, so you did the research, you had some numbers. Did you write some numbers down by
Not
you
me,
expected?
myself,
Yeah.
the entire team, I want to say. Like
Yeah.
all the community team worked together on this, and a lot of other people at CCP too.
And I'm not gonna ask for the number that you guys had written down, but well, it exceeded expectations, yeah.
It did, but I mean, it also followed what we expected. Like we were seeing other channels getting like 4 times growth when it comes to just how many active channels are streaming. Instead of being, like you said, just a handful of stream channels, we were seeing like you could scroll and scroll to see how many channels of Eve there were for a while. And then we're now just in the experiment phase. Like, well, how do we do this? First, it was let's only give it to partners. And then it was, let's give it to partners and some of the others. Like right now, I'm just kind of handing out Twitch drops to like as many people as I can and building a giant whitelist of it.
Which I thought was a super nice thing in general. So, because it feels like then for the guys that stream, but weren't partnered yet, or Eve partnered at least, they felt like, oh, someone's there who gives a shit. Like that guy just convoed me and said like, hey, there you go. Like that's like, it's that extra.
And we also don't want that guy to feel like we're pulling the ladder up with all the partners and be like,
yeah,
suck it. Now everyone above you you're never going to get to their level because they now have drops on top of being partners and having like going down to the growing streamers and going, hey, do you also want this? Is very important. So it went from like, I don't know, 60, 70 something channels to like 140 or something now. Like it's a lot of fucking channels that have dropped. 130 or something. I don't remember what the list is, but
that's insane.
Getting chunky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. Really good job.
Very rewarding too. I feel like Oprah, and you get drops, or you get drops.
Yeah, I can imagine, dude. I can imagine. That it must be so fun. Yeah, it must be super fun to especially for you, since you know the struggle. I mean, people know you as like, oh, that's a big Eve streamer. You had like 700 viewers. Which was ridiculous for like 3 drop times, like ridiculous for Eve, right? And then, but you like people forget you started. That was the first time when you clicked start streaming, right? There was 0 viewers, 0.
But I didn't. Yeah, of course, everyone starts there.
Yeah.
But when I came to stream Eve, like in 2016 or whenever that was, the community that were already here, they also were quick to host me and help me grow. And like it was a very wholesome community of streamers back then as well. And then suddenly I didn't have 10, 20 viewers. Suddenly I had 80 viewers. I was like, maybe there's something here. And then a week later, I was starting to rock like 100, 150, 200 viewers. I was like, wait a minute, what if I try and double this? And
That
I did
is
that
true.
like strategically over a long time. But of course, you do have to start it somewhere, like at 0. But it's not. No one like just gets there completely on their own. But it doesn't help if you feel like the system's kind of against you. Like if something new and cool comes in, like Twitch drops, you don't want that to feel like it's only for the ones who already are successful. So it's important that it goes to many channels.
Yeah, I think that's true. Eve, like the content creators in Eve, they always had like a bit of a community that was pretty supportive in general. Yeah, I think some of it, at least, goes back to what was her name? Man, I wish I knew the name now. There was always that one. She streamed super rarely, but she always tried to connect people and stuff like this.
Talking about Rain?
No.
It's
Man.
not that many.
No. Starbucks, no. I was talking.
She's Starbucks.
Ah,
I miss
man.
that guy.
Someone has to know the name. What was the group called? Miss Moses. Miss Moses. I
Stream
think.
Fleet. Yeah.
Stream Fleet, yeah. She always liked to like reached out to people and tried to help and stuff. But she wasn't like, dragging you into some team. You know what I mean? It was hands off. But I think she had definitely some influence there that was really positive in creating
For
that community.
And back then, it felt like the Eve community was often doing things like charity stream runs, and they like all kinds of things. Some like boys versus girls tournament on the CC, and like all kinds of weird shit that we did. That was like a lot of fun just to shake us together. We did some death race thing, just like weird things. Big fleet with like 40 content creators all in the same comms, which was, by the way, the worst experience with everyone just way too big a character to just sit and be quiet on a fleet like that, right? Everyone trying to talk over each other. It was horrible, but it was great at the same time, right?
That's true. With all the egos in the room, everyone needs to talk.
Yeah.
And then now everyone's gonna go look at the Faction Warfare stuff that's about to come out. I can tell like everyone's like kind of getting ready. Like all the content creators are like looking at it. I think
except you're never in fucking Faction Warfare. And I keep telling you, dude, there's so much content there. And you're like going around nullsec crying that there's nothing to shoot. And I'm like, dude, just go to the low sec. There's so much to do there.
Yeah, I know. You gotta do it. Yeah. Well, but I mean, what's the standing hit and stuff if I join like Galanti with my main now, right? You're saying I should join with an alt probably, which I did before.
Honestly. No, just direct enlist, and then if you don't like it anymore, just unenlist. Like,
yeah, but like, isn't it gonna mess with the standings a bit too much? Especially if I want to join Angels after.
And then you just grind the standings after. You'll be fine.
God damn it! I knew it. But yeah, people are looking at it. What about you, Amelia? Are you looking at? What about your guys? Are they gonna like enlist for whatever Guristas, Angels? I think everyone's gonna go Angels, dude. Everyone's so hyped for like Angel stuff. I don't know why. I mean,
the Angel stuff looks pretty cool. I like the kind of AC focus of the ships. They're pretty cool. I was talking with Satoni about some the ship stats and stuff like that, and I think we got some good feedback there. But I don't know if our guys are really gonna do too much. But we have some guys that are still up there, kind of doing faction warfare stuff. But I don't know how important it is to be part of the group still. I haven't looked too much at it yet, to be honest, or know how much is even released in terms of what's gonna really change. But like most of the time that we've gone to faction warfare, it's just been as a pirate group basically, and just killing anyone that's there and not doing anything regarding joining or enlisting or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, since you
I treated factional warfare like that for many years, where I was just the third party always. And then I think when Uprising came about a year ago, Shines made like an alt corp with where people were putting like alts in to go fuck around in factional warfare before direct enlistment was a thing. And I like in T1 bullshit frigates, destroyers, cruisers, just getting LP for killing other players. I was like, wait, there's something really, really cool here. So like I actually didn't actually try factional warfare until the last rework of it.
I mean, technically, I did faction warfare before you did faction warfare, Beyond. Because that's how
Yeah,
I.
for sure. The first time I ever did it, I'm saying like actually doing it where you're getting LP
Yeah.
for things. I literally didn't know how the system worked because I treated it the way Amelia treated it, just as a third party. Just go in, try and kill something, keep going, take the standing hit or the security status hit, fix that, rinse and repeat, right?
I just wish there was a way, like the sec status thing, you can pay ISK and you just solve that issue with the tags, right? Like I wish there was a similar issue with standings. Like what I remember what I did, I was faction warfare for maybe a year or so, and my Caldari standings got so fucked I couldn't even go to Jeet anymore. I had to go pay for a service to go sit there in their fleet while they run missions to get the standings back up. And I wish there was like a simpler way to do that than relying on. Well, it is cool that there's people that do just that, kind of speaks to Eve as a whole, that there's these kind of niche player run group kind of things. But the annoyance, I guess, of the standing sit is pretty big for me.
Yeah. I'm hearing that from both of you, and I've heard it from other people too, that
Yeah.
it feels, I don't know, feels off that you're not going to be able to do things in high sec or other places because of it, which I understand how you feel.
The thing is, so why I said it, like technically I did faction warfare way before you did, because when faction warfare was first introduced, I instantly joined back in the day. That's how I started PvP. And I still remember the standing struggles that followed after, right? At the same time, like, okay, now I'm staging Jitter a lot of times because I'm like doing a lot of small scale solo stuff. But in general, like, I mean, it was a struggle. So like, yeah, I kind of wanna avoid it, even though I should be a nullsec player and not care. But yeah, at the same time, I'm staging Jitter, so a lot of
There
times.
is so much content there though right now, which is cool. To Bjorn's point, like I'm
Bjorn keeps
excited.
saying it, I know.
Once I get back to the small game kind of stuff, like I think faction warfare is gonna be the place that I'm gonna go.
Yeah, yeah, and dude, when the pirate enlistment stuff starts, I'll be right in there, and I'll do it.
Dude, that
It's gonna be a
alligator
good
ship,
time.
I'm excited for it. That thing
You
looks
are?
dope.
All right, so
Are
let's
you
talk
more
about those
excited for
Yeah.
ships.
Alligator than the Kisrael?
Dude, I'm big. That alligator looks busted.
What? So I made fits and stuff, and I'm like, man, I don't know. It didn't convince me. So like, why is it so
It's an
busted?
MJD and Gila.
Bro,
Yeah,
it
it's an
does like
it has 200k EHP. It's an MJD and Gila, and there's cool shit about it. Don't get me wrong, but like,
it's
other
a
than
Drake that
fit
does
fleets,
double the damage and has like 50% more EHP. It's busted.
that's true. For fleets, I can see it. Especially, I think mid-scale fleets, probably. If you have like a 40-man fleet, because what you can do then, like what I do always with like the last Gilas that I keep flying, or I didn't fly it in a long time yet, no, but like, but you can just assist those drones to like one guy with a painter, and you have that one guy just murdering stuff. But while you do that, you can also broadcast targets and shoot them with missiles. I guess, yeah, it's pretty strong.
The Angel BC though looks pretty cool for like super Pico gang kind of stuff. Like I'm excited to put some 425s on that bad boy and pop off.
Yeah, some people complained about it. Was it on Reddit? I don't know. I saw some big wall of text somewhere about like, oh look, like it's a worse Hurricane Fleet issue, and I'm like, it's kind of a weird take.
As an arty platform,
yeah, exactly. That's like kind of a weird take. It like has that ultimate fucking fall off bonus and stuff. It kind of says, hey, hit ACs, dude, right? So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Pico gang stuff, maybe. Maybe that's the place to be.
I think I'm still gonna just join normal faction warfare. When everyone goes to be pirates, I'm gonna be like, awesome, an assload of targets. Let's fucking go, dude. Like that's one of my like. I know sides like, no, Bjorn, we're gonna do Angel. I'm like, nah. I'll see you guys on grid.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Alliance wise, how we gonna handle this anyway? I mean, in it, I guess if you die in a faction warfare system, we can probably just say like, yeah, shoot each other. Who cares? But there's a lot of alliance that probably gonna say like, nope, you're not allowed to, you know, whatever, like avoid the drama. Like, gonna get complicated. There's gonna be some diplomatic incidents, I'm sure. In it's
Let them
gonna
come.
straight up enlist to Angel. Sorry. Let it burn. I'm always the guy saying like, fuck it, let it burn. Dude, I have no problem shooting blues, bombing blues, you know that. Like, if you get in the way, you get in the way. Well, it's a game about spaceships and, shooting people. That's what we do. I'm just saying. It's going to be a complex, for some groups, it's going to be a complex issue to solve. But yeah. So the alligator, you say, is the best one? Dude, I
like that one. I think it's gonna be the strongest. I don't know. I feel like the meta right now is just pure projection and EHP in like all forms, whether it be larger scale or smaller scale. So that's why I think the alligator looks so good, because it's basically just that, right? It's raw EHP, lots of damage.
Have you tried to make your butt a Mamba?
No, I haven't yet.
I think the Mamba is probably pretty similar to what the alligator is going to be, just on a smaller scale. It just feels slow, like running away or catching someone, probably not the thing for it.
Yeah.
But once in a fight, and it's kind of even, yeah, it'll dash out good DPS, and you're not gonna just fall over. Yeah, and maybe there's something there for like fleet or like gang stuff. The Mamba is probably like a strong one too. Same for the alligator, I think. See, if I watch it, like if I look at it from through the solo small scale, like Pico gang lens, I think the alligator is gonna be kind of trash, because you just might as well fly a battleship, dude. Especially with that price tag. Like, what is the price tag gonna be? Like, I'm assuming like kinda, if a Gila is 300, then this is gonna be 600, right? 650, 700 mil. Might as well.
It'll be pretty expensive.
Yeah, might as well grab a command ship or a battleship or whatever. That's just what I'm thinking. So, because I mean, it's gonna be slow as fuck. It's not like, you can kite people with it. Like,
I think Amelia's gonna see the Kizrael in game and be like, okay, no, I'm in love with this thing now.
that is true. It just looks so good.
It looks so good. And yeah, I think you're gonna be able to fly it probably better than most, and I actually look forward to seeing you in it someday. I can't wait to fly it myself, but I think because you're hyper aggressive with the way you fly, I think you could make like insane use of it. Because you were talking earlier, Pando, how Amelia is like one of the better pilots, and how it's hard to judge it. And I've not flown with like lots of small gang pilots, but I did fly with Amelia quite a bit, and like there's this extra level of aggressiveness that you have, Amelia, that other people they don't know when to just go and brawl, right? And I think you're gonna make use of like an autocannon ship like this really fucking well.
Hail never fails, baby.
Still remember some fight where I was in a curse and you were in some other stuff, rooming with Dexter and someone else, and like I wanted to kite, and you were like, "No, let's just go brawl them," and I was like, "I'm gonna fucking feed here, right?" And I'm like on stream in some curse the next LASB, and I'm like, okay, fuck it, let's try it." And there was just something about the aggressiveness. I don't know, like I hadn't felt that flying with other people as well. Like it's really fun to fly with you, man.
Thanks. Yeah, we got to do it more often, dude. Get Roman again.
I haven't actually been small gang in or solo in lately. I've been dirty blubber on my own. I've been doing like
Dirty
I'm now
blubber
doing
on my own.
yeah.
Solo blobbing is what he was doing.
I think I saw you in a Pando's fleet or something. You guys were in like Ospreys or something, going to Horde space.
Oh, yeah, that was a cop
Oh, that
fleet.
was
One of
it's
our
like a
guys
birthday thing.
had a birthday, and he loves flying the last ONIs. So we took a couple ONIs out.
Remote
got
repo and
wrecked.
eyes are cool.
They
I love
are.
remote rep comps. They're dope.
Yeah, I think that time when we took it, we were a little bit too small, especially for like, I don't want to go back to into like issues in the game, but then there's the centralization now. Like people are always in one spot. You can go to like a couple stagings where you have guaranteed like a fight, right? And yeah, for those fights, it's just like we weren't big enough there, so we basically died. But we killed a couple things, so yeah, we tried.
Yeah, that's one of the things like I love and hate about small gang is that like most of the time you're going to these places, you're just constantly fighting or running from the fight while trying to take the fight at the same time, right? Like at best you're maybe getting a few tackle kills or something like that. And it might not look like really cool, but like when you're looking at the grid actually and you're like, holy shit, how did they even secure these kills on this grid with this, right? But like the other times
Yeah.
I'm like, I wish I could actually engage more properly and be able to like, as Bjorn was saying, commit and do stuff like that and actually be able to go in and stuff like that on a more somewhat even basis. And I
You,
feel like those type of fights are a lot rarer these days.
yeah, I learned to really appreciate that. Obviously streaming, right? But also like recently when I started flying like an overprop Proteus, that can just stay on any grid really. Like I can always stay and do something, and then maybe I kill a slasher. If it's on a grid where there's like 5 Yugins, 17 Redeemers, and a Vagur, and 2 Bushers, and whatnot, who knows what. Getting that one slasher kill just feels better. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
obviously, if I kill that, it's a noob. It's a noob that jumps into low sec for the first time, and I kill him on a gate. Like, yeah, I don't get too excited. But then, like, the scenario really matters, right? And obviously, from a streamer perspective, it's also nice to just like, yeah, I don't have to pack up my stuff and leave right away, and then wait my time off for 15 minutes and then filament out and stuff. So it's always nice if you have something that can just, stay on good and do something. ESS makes it easier for small gangers. Yeah, and that's nice. I would say at least. What else? What else is on my list? Let's see.
We can talk about the Southeast stuff if you want.
Oh yeah. Well, tell me about it.
So that's what we've been doing recently. So for people that aren't aware, there is an agreement from like Imperium and P Horde about leaving
And it's working.
7 or 8 regions or something in the Southeast kind of alone. Yeah, and the content's been great. There's kind of a scale of anywhere between like 50 to 200-ish on kind of max. We just took a fight the other day. It was like 90 versus 250. It was a lot of fun.
Who is it? No
like,
Value is the big group there, right?
yeah, we've been multi-playing No Value. Snuff deployed down here. Triumvirate, Shadow Cartel, Red Alliance, they're like kind of one coalition.
Oh wow. I didn't know
I saw
Snuff.
Big App was down there as well.
Snuff
Yeah.
deployed down there?
Yeah, Dark Side is down here with like We Form Zerg. Yeah, there's a lot of people down here. It's a lot of fun, and there's people that still come all the time for bat phones, like whether it be like the Thera Boys, Deepwater Hooligans. So a lot of people kind of come down here for content, and it's just like a content central. It's great.
Yeah, what a
What kind of
coincidence.
comp are you running? You still running Tidebringers, or?
Yeah, we've upgraded a little bit,
Yeah.
but same comps basically. It's fun.
Yeah, who would have thought if there's no blob around the corner every time any timer comes up or whatever, right? Suddenly people are like, yeah, let's deploy. Yeah, let's, take some space and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's fun to fight over these like, I don't know, R64 moons or something like that again, and it's like it's pretty cool. So we're excited. I'm surprised about how many miners I had in my group actually that are super excited about mining R64s.
You were disgusted, right? That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. I mean, people have to make some ISK somehow, and then you guys are probably asking for like not the cheap metaphor kind of fits, You're like, man,
Yeah, for sure.
what do you mean? You're meta 12, you noob,
Yeah, I think we're pretty lucky. We have a lot of people who participate in like AT or people that have been in Poshben for the last 2 years and have just very flush. So it's nice to have.
No. Must be nice. Imagine, Chance is still in chat. Imagine, Chance, we could just like tell everyone like fly anything, X-type, everything, you know, and nobody would ever complain. Easy. What a nice world that would be. We do anyway. That's true. Oh, Pando. I mean, you know, it's not wrong. There was always a meme in it that I'm a little on the poor side, but then I was never missing anything, so yeah, I've got no reason to complain. But yeah, I'm glad that that agreement is working out. The Southwest. I've been visiting that too. The other day I went there with a Moros Navy issue, and I got a good fight. Like, can you believe this? Like
I scouted that, dude. We were debating on forming to come third party.
Wow. To third party then. All right. I thought you scouted me earlier because I started in Zendaya, traveling to Curse a little bit. And then people were like, hey, Rocket X and his guys are here and stuff, you know? And there was instantly, like, I undocked, there's already a Sino on the station, like a Falcon looking at me. I land on the gate, there's a Rapier there, right? So I Sinoed out, and that Rapier just followed me straight up. Or was it a Falcon? I don't know. But I went into an incursion constellation. So they couldn't bring a Sino there. And then I jumped all the way across to jump to the no value guys, and I got a good fight there. So that went as good as a Dread Roam can actually go, I think. Like 37 kills, and you know, I mean, they got a kill in the end too, so they were happy too.
I was going with that battle report. You guys are rocking Torp Widows as a comp?
It's fun times, dude.
What the fuck, dude? That sounds sick. ECM Torp Widows. I love it.
Anything that's not the norm, I was like, you know, like I never flew like the Munin stuff and so on. So I always was looking like at other stuff. So whenever someone rolled something out that's not the norm, I always appreciate it.
Yeah, we just listened to Kadesh, our Lord and Savior, our theory craft genius.
Was he like, take the ECM goo and just make it beefy, hit harder,
Yeah,
and
make
ECM
it bigger,
better? I love it.
And people are asking for the Moros Navy issue. If there's a video, there is still the VOD up. But if people are actually that interested, I'll cut a video and upload it. No big deal. I'll do that. All right. Yeah.
It's been fun though. We've been putting our first toes into kind of like capital ships. We haven't done that much on the last deployments. So like using fax and dreads and stuff for the first time. So it's another aspect of the game I haven't really explored. So it's fun to do, and we've definitely made a lot of mistakes and learning a lot. So it's nice.
Which you can do now because of the agreement, right? Of people, you don't expect the big group to come and just dump straight, right?
Yeah,
we did it like in the we used dreads just for a couple of times. I remember on the to like hit a fort or some shit from XIX when they were down there. But like you said, we rarely ever use them except for like hyper supers to deal with like the test dreads and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And now it feels like we can actually like, you know, put facts on grid and actually be able to play around with it and have it be there as a permanent stay, not just be running the minute we siege for one cycle or something like that.
That's pretty dope, dude.
Because even on that test deployment, I remember like the minute we dropped anything, it's like we see P-Horde pinging and burning 10 jumps away or something like that, and we have to like, you know, actively waterboard them or slow them down somehow.
Yeah.
That does sound like fun. Maybe I'll bring some public fleets down there. It's like obviously init fleets, we can't go there. Right? That would break the agreement. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about like what the agreement actually is. Like, I think people coming down for good fights all the time is great. You know what I mean? Like, it's just about trying to get to the point that you're, I don't know, evicting or fucking ruining good fights that are already there and stuff like that. When it's mostly the bat phones that piss me off. Like when all of a sudden you're bat phoning a group to come save you or something like that.
Is it actually 123 days left on the agreement? Let's hope it's. Let's hope, even if it doesn't get refreshed, the stuff stays like that.
Yeah, hopefully we can do some actual game changes so it doesn't rely on an agreement that's very loose.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm not gonna say the word. It starts with an A. It ends with an anti, please.
I do love the battle report though, just seeing Fast in a bunch of rattlesnakes. So he's clearly putting Podfin money to good use. He fucking upgraded his EOSs to rattlers. Jesus.
Yeah,
He's doing
what
God's
I
work.
love it.
what are you gonna do with all ISK? You know, you gotta think of something. Right? I always appreciate it when
Yeah.
people like that have ISK just put it to use. Right? There's too many people that's sitting on a pile of ISK, and you know.
He was the true Giga Chad. He actually SRP'd this entire feed, Bjorn, for
What?
everybody. Yeah, so he was super cool guy.
A fucking baller. Holy shit.
Hmm. Well,
I
what?
don't see any Lancers. Have you found any use for Lancers, Amelia?
Not too much. I think they might be mostly on a bigger scale. I think the lower scale, the biggest advantage to them is the RR debuff, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like the half RR or something. But I think it's mostly going to be used on like large dread bombs, which is cool. Kind of like a boson kind of thing, right? Like,
I think it's for like initiating fights like that or catching stuff. Because on the scale that you guys are fighting, being able to prevent caps from taking a gate or something, like being able to suddenly spring a trap. I've seen them use in a couple of videos where people are warping to like an NPC station, hoping to dock, and then just like, nope, you guys aren't warping, docking, or jumping out now for a whole minute.
yeah, they're good for hunting JFs, especially, I think.
Yeah.
There's a controversial, point that people always like. You know, some people see it as a positive, some as a negative.
Oh, I think it's great. I think JFing is, and this is at someone like who's completely reliant on JFs to get all of our shit. I think it's very good that JFs shouldn't be have like a free time. I mean, even now, if you play perfectly, it's impossible to get caught by a Lancer in a JF. But like, I still think there should be ways that it's not so safe for how much reward you get in terms of saving time or whatever. I remember like back in the day when there was, freighter escort runs and stuff, and how much content there was in that. I would just wish there was more methods of like.
Who's gonna run these
whether
fleets, dude? That's my question. When someone says like, "Oh,
That's
I
true.
wish,"
That's
you
true.
see, like, if you wish for that, like, sci-fi idea of like, oh, there's a freighter and then there's an escort fleet escorting the freighter. Like, who is doing this? I'm certainly not seeing a fleet of like 10 dudes just covering a freighter for half an hour. Like, god damn, right?
Yeah, it's an interesting balance. I'm just saying it's like I
Yeah.
feel like there's a lot of ways that you can do content generation through just getting people out in space. And I feel like stuff with jump freighters, it doesn't get people in space, right? You're just jumping from Sino to Sino to Sino, and there's no way to really generate content from that in my mind.
Yeah, but I'm
So I
not
wish there was more
sure.
ways that you could do that.
Yeah, I'm just not sure if it's the right thing to look at in terms of to create content. You know, I think if you put too much risk on it, I'm not sure if that is actually net positive at the end. But like I say, I'm not sure, so I don't know. Maybe you're right.
You have to look at the balance, right? Like the effort, the amount of effort it takes to haul a freighter from Jita to Fountain versus the jump freighters, right? Like you have to balance that out.
Sure. Yeah. And there was a point I wanted to make. No, I lost it. I lost my train of thought. Tactical grades
What's on your list?
need a buff for the price. Do they? Yeah, I mean, I think we need to wait a little longer. The metal moves slowly. I keep saying this all the time. We will see more use of them. Is it gonna be enough use? For like what they are? Maybe not. But then we can talk about it, I think. But I think we have to wait a little longer, honestly. And yeah. I mean, Bjorn knows. I would have wished for them to be a little different, but it is what it is.
I kind of like where they are right now, just from personally what I want to use them for. But I still have characters skilling them up. I didn't want to inject into them because I knew I wasn't going to run to use them. But at the same time, I still don't have everything at level 5 yet. Like I don't think we've even gone into the era of Lancer dreads just yet properly, you know?
Have we seen them
Yeah.
in large fights yet with like large dread bombs when they just come in
No,
and like slap?
but there weren't any large dread bombs either, other than
There
one,
was one, yeah,
and that's
that
an
one
IHAP timer.
gigantic one, but then, you know,
The key thing there to know is about that fight is it was on an IHAP grid, right? The Lancer shines when you want to keep people from tethering, jumping, and stuff like this. So there wasn't a real need for them to be in that fight. So yeah, there were no.
Well, I think that's one niche of it, but I think the other niche is just like acting it like a boson basically, where it does a lot of damage actually. And if people are grouped up and going to the same Sino, like if you drop like I don't know 5 or 10
Yeah.
of them, you can wipe the entire dread fleet.
That's where the reality, like as a bomber a guy, I know how spread out shit is in reality. Like it looks like it's one little ball if you zoom out. They're not that close to each other. So if you have, let's say, Bjorn goes crazy. He drops 100 dreads on our fleet, right? They jump onto the same Sino. If you then have, let's say, I don't know how many lances do we need to kill a dread, maybe 5, right? To like be sure. You have 5 lances. You aim for one dread that's kind of central, right? You broadcast that guy, aim for this dude. It's not gonna kill more than 1, 2 dreads. Maybe if you're ultra lucky, you kill 3 dreads with it.
Oh, really? The radius is that low? I haven't looked at it.
Yeah, I don't think that's, at least, you have to do it in reality to really know. But from my experience, that's what it would look like. So the risk in that case, I don't think is really worth it. And then don't forget, they nude each other. So you need a couple, like, it takes some prep, all that kind of stuff, right? It's a little bit more complicated to set up. But yeah, actually, it's not that hard to set up, if I'm honest. For those who don't know, I'm not sure if it still works like that. Maybe I shouldn't give away all the tricks all the time. But if you jump onto the same Sino, the first dread lances. If you hold your invul timer, like Bjorn jumps onto the same Sino, if you hold your invul timer, you're not gonna get muted by that nude effect. Then Bjorn lances, and then the other guys hold that timer, and then the next guy lances. So you have to do it in a row, and then it's fine. But that takes coordination. At the same time, if you jump on the Sino and you bump, guess what? You hit the same target, but if the angles are too different, you're only gonna hit that one target. You hit something in behind, but like, how useful is that, right? If it's all spread.
But I mean, they aren't primarily damage dealers. They are,
no, yeah,
all these other effects that do it as well. And Mr. Unlucky just linked someone from FRT who's been, I'm assuming, caught a bunch of Loki's trying to gate. Like, we've seen a few use cases where this is blocked a gate jump, like a gang or a fleet from jumping through a gate, which is super scary. If you're trying to, jump and you can't, and you're bubbled and you can't warp, and like, I can see it as a fight initiator, or like, but you need that sledgehammer afterwards to come. I don't see these as the finisher,
Yeah, dude, I'm
Yeah,
terrified
no, yeah.
of that happening to my imp when I'm gating around. Like, I can't even imagine how mad I would be.
Yeah.
Just
Hitting
warping
an
to a
imp
gate
with it,
thinking I'm safe, dude.
Yeah, it's probably pretty hard, dude. But yeah, I think you will see it every now and then, like that guy. Like,
I think we're gonna start
people-
seeing it way more when the era actually properly starts. Like, have you flown one yet?
I've not, no.
No.
Only
I
recently
haven't done
started
that
scaling
yet.
into it. It's good, like, dude. We
Exactly.
just talked about
so
how
if
poor
most
I am,
people
okay?
are there, you're not poor. Come on, dude.
I've got like 3 bill in my wallet, all right?
But you got like half a trillion assets, right?
That is true, but like, who's gonna go sell all that shit? It has been like
I mean-
accumulated for a reason, dude.
What I'm saying is that I don't think we're there yet. Like, my personal plan with Lancers is hopefully soon I'm going to start printing some money in Pochin and then be able to just YOLO these dreads into fights and be like, hey, Shines, I'm going to bring a couple of these today. And he'll be like, yeah, cool. And then just, if it fails, it fails. If it doesn't, maybe like slap some people, That's how I plan on using them. Just to see actually in effect how useful they are. I think they're really fucking cool in their current iteration. And like you say often, like, the meta is slow to actually realize and get traction of what and how they can be used. I've been watching lots of fights recently where our, Stormbringer fleet gets instantly aggressed by a bunch of nightmares that come in, right? and the type of battleship fights we've been getting into, I'm like, I'm not just in the fight anchored. I'm looking at how and where would I land my launcher, and how, like, where would I position it, and those things. That takes time to like also get your mind around.
Yeah. Yeah, some
At
people.
what moment would I want to pounce on it?
Yeah, I think some people take just way more time. I would count myself definitely in that group to just like observe first, like
Yeah.
get a grasp of like how many of these situations where I can use whatever it is, right? Be it a certain bomb run or be it whatever. Like how many of these situations actually occur? How many times would I have been there in time and could have been set up and la la la, and then do the math and like, okay, it's worth getting into this and then start doing this. And I think, yeah, the more people skill into these, and now I think it should have started where people are actually like fairly high skilled if they didn't inject into them, right? So
Yeah.
the more people have them skilled, the more people will look at this, and then yes, it will definitely increase, but we'll have to see how much, right? And yeah, I'm curious. I mean, that was one of the CSM things too. Like we kept an eye on this like for a while, like especially with the jump fader thing, because that was a controversial like situation where people were like, oh, this could be the end of it. So this could be like some people were like super concerned, other people were like, fuck yeah. So we were keeping an eye on it closely, and yeah.
I think that's the thing I like the most about them, is to your report, Bjorn, is like, I feel like the meta right now is, or it has been for a long time, about people are just like in these kind of fast ships that can disengage at any time. Like whether it be back in the day with Munins, or now it's like, HFIs or CFIs, where, all I have to do is burn out of bubbles for like maybe 10 seconds and then I can fleet warp out because I'm fast enough that I can do that. Like this kind of forces you to be on grid a little bit longer, right? It makes you a larger commitment in a way, or you can set a trap to force that commitment, which I think is really cool. Because
Yeah.
no one likes being in these fights where all of a sudden you lose, 3 or 4 logi and then you're warping off and the fight's
But
over, right?
it's also not just hacks online anymore, like it was for a long time. Like you guys yourselves are flying rattlesnakes and fucking torpedo widows, right? And other places we're seeing rogues a lot. We're seeing Tempest fleet issues. We're seeing lots of battleships
I
have been
love,
come
dude.
back into the meta, which is fantastic because they're slower. The fights aren't just, oh, we lost 15, T2 logi, let's just bail, right? And the 250-man fleet is just gone. It's once you get caught, you're being held there pretty heavily because you're much slower, easier to bubble, easier to hold down, which then in effect makes it easier for you to land all these other things on you.
Yep, 100%.
And then some people miss Munins so much, they make vagabonds into Munins, like shines. Yeah.
It'll never be the old Munin.
It seems to be turning to hacks again. Well, but at the very least, it's going to be a weaker version then. And battleships are in a place to handle them.
It seems to be very different depending on the area that you're fighting, honestly. Like, I think like the fights in the north and the fights in the south have been very, very different metas.
Yeah, I
And
mean, the
like low spec
scale.
fights and everything. Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
scale,
yeah.
but as well as just like type. Like, I think even in like low sec, it's been traditionally battleships. I think TFI is like the go-to meta ship right now in a lot of those fights. In the north, like sure the scale is different, but I'm still surprised that people are still choosing like hacks over, I don't know, even BCs or something like that, like HFIs.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I haven't been too involved with the large scale doctrines and all that stuff. So I never really looked at them too much. BCs are very vulnerable to bombs. That is also very true. I think the smaller the scale, the least the smaller the chance there's a bomb wing there, right? Yeah, that's true. And I'd love to bomb some more. It's not that easy. It's not that easy to find the situation, timing, and all that stuff. But yeah, I have tried. I had some blues too. But hey, what you gonna do? All right. As far as I understand, Amelia, you have to run off in 5 minutes. So Is there anything we missed out that you guys wanna talk about? Some final words, or should we call it right here?
Nothing that comes to mind. I'm just glad that I actually managed to catch Amelia here for a little bit, and I didn't realize you guys were doing so much in the south. I've obviously a little busier now than when I was flying with you back a year or two ago. So it's good to kind of catch up and get to hear and get battle reports linked and stuff. It's cool, man. Glad to see that you're out there doing stuff.
Yeah, dude, move a jump clone. Hop in the Discord. We'll come to a fight or two. Be fun.
Come multi-box some shit and fuck around.
Yeah.
He's an energy. He's not allowed over there. That's actually third
I
party.
mean, am I
Shut it
bringing
down,
up weed if
Giants.
it's
Shut
just
it
me and the
down.
fleet, dude?
hold him back.
How close
Yes.
are you from the highway from Zarzak? Can I just get there from B17?
Yeah, dude,
real
very
quick?
close. Very close.
That is actually
I was
true.
camping the area with a bunch of Vexers with wardens the other day, just fucking around, hanging out one of the stations. It's a lot of fun. But like I've gotten lazy in that way too. I feel like I've settled on a farm up in Fountain where I'm just some days I've been literally mining, ratting. I've been just doing like the stuff that people
He's
do
a
in
casual
Nullsing just
player
to
now,
get
Amelia. We lost him.
yeah. I want to be heading into Potsford though to get some more action. I'm
You've
like
corrupted
really
him.
nah. I think it's just getting old, dude. What can you do?
Well.
All right. Well, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for having us, Panda.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. Thanks for jumping in short notice, Bjorn. And yeah, the guys on stream, thanks for hanging out. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know a lot of people were like constantly was asking like, oh, what about Bjorn? Is he gonna stream again and stuff? We should have talked about that for a sec. Maybe you want to say something about that? No.
Maybe soon. Who knows?
Maybe soon. Who knows? But yeah, I hope you guys had a good time. And yeah, if you missed the start of the podcast or whatever, there's gonna be a VOD up. And since Amelia asked me earlier, actually, yeah, we also upload these to Spotify if you prefer Spotify and all that stuff. So you can find it anywhere. And I upload it to YouTube, more of like an archive kind of thing. And yeah, next week episode gonna be another big one. That's gonna be Mr. V and Shadu. I actually dragged Shadu out of retirement for a podcast, so get hyped for that one. And yeah, guys, appreciate ya, and see you guys probably tomorrow. All right.
Thanks for the invite. See you, chat.